If you're a man in your 40s and women are suddenly paying attention to you, women who wouldn't have looked at you twice 15 years ago, this isn't the win you think it is. I know that sounds rough, but stay with me. Once you understand what's really going on, you can't unsee it. Let's talk honestly. When exactly did you become more attractive? Was it at 42 when your hairline started moving back? Was it when your metabolism slowed down and pizza stopped being forgiving? Was it when work stress left permanent marks on your face? Be real with yourself. You didn't suddenly turn into a movie star. You didn't unlock some hidden glow-up overnight. So if you didn't change, what did? The answer is uncomfortable, but simple. The market changed. For a long time, the dating market worked one way. Women, especially younger women, were the buyers. Men were the sellers. And when you're the buyer in a market full of options, you become very selective. You can demand a lot while giving very little. You can reject most options and still feel safe knowing there are backups. Now fast forward years later. The supply shrinks, but the demand doesn't. Suddenly, the people who were rejecting everyone are now competing for fewer options. The men they ignored before, some are gone, some are tired, some chose peace over chaos. That's the shift happening now. Let's make this real. Imagine a woman. We'll call her Christina. At 25, she works an entry-level marketing job in a big city. She makes around $45,000 a year, has roommates, drives an old car, and is still figuring life out. But online dating tells a very different story. She's matching with surgeons, consultants, tech guys making six figures. Men in their mid-30s take her to expensive restaurants, rooftop bars, weekend trips. They compete for her attention, and an illusion forms. She starts thinking, these are my men, this is my level. What she doesn't understand, and most women that age don't, is that attention is cheap. Commitment is expensive. Those men aren't choosing her long-term, they're enjoying her youth, her energy, the fact that she has no kids, no divorce, no emotional baggage from years of failed relationships. She's fun, she's light, she's temporary, but she doesn't see that difference. She just sees matches, dates, attention. So when a 27-year-old man making $60,000, living independently, emotionally serious, and actually wanting to build something real shows interest, she swipes left. Not tall enough, not exciting enough, not impressive enough. She feels she can afford to be selective. Here's where reality math starts. Height filter, 6 feet and up. That removes most men. Income filter, 75,000 to 100,000. Even fewer left. Lifestyle, education, travel. Now she's down to maybe 2 or 3% of men. And those men know it. They know they're rare. They know they have options. And men with options don't rush into commitment, especially when they can keep dating younger women year after year. But Christina is 25. Time feels unlimited. She's told to focus on herself, her career, her experiences. Relationships can wait. She'll settle down later with someone who meets all her standards. And this is the part most people miss, because nothing feels wrong yet. The system seems to work until it doesn't. Fast forward a few years. Christina is now 32. On paper, life looks better. She earns more, dresses better, has more confidence, more life experience. But the dating market doesn't improve with her resume. The men who took her out at 25, the established men in their late 30s and 40s, are still dating. They're just not dating her anymore. They're dating women who are 24, 25, 26. Women who have what Christina once had: youth, optimism, fewer emotional walls, less disappointment. She's no longer the youngest option. Now she's competing with younger women for the same men. At first, the change is small. Fewer matches, less impressive profiles, less effort from men. But here's the dangerous part. Her standards don't change because her self-image doesn't change. In her mind, she's still the woman who could attract top-tier men. She remembers the attention, not the lack of commitment. She remembers the dinners, not how temporary everything was. So when dating apps start showing her solid but average men, stable, emotionally available, making 60 to 80,000, genuinely interested, they feel like a downgrade compared to the illusion she lived under at 25. And this is where the coping stories begin. Where are all the good men? Everyone decent is taken. Men are intimidated by strong women. Men can't handle successful women. These explanations feel good. They protect the ego. They say the problem isn't her, it's men, society, or timing. Nothing about you changed, the world didn't suddenly break. The truth is simpler and much more uncomfortable. The market shifted and she didn't update her expectations. Now this is where things turn serious. Somewhere between 36 and 40, the clock she ignored in her 20s starts making noise. Not emotionally, biologically. If she wants children, the window isn't closing in the future. It's already closing. Fertility drops hard after 35. After 40, it drops sharply. That's not an opinion, that's medical reality. And even if she doesn't want children, the problem doesn't disappear. The men she filtered for, high status, attractive men in their 40s, are mostly gone. Married, in long-term relationships, or intentionally dating younger women. The ones who are still single often carry heavy baggage, divorce scars, emotional damage, or a strong resistance to commitment. So the dating pool doesn't just shrink, it almost disappears. This isn't personal, it's structural. In any market, value is shaped by supply and demand. At 25, women face massive demand. They can be selective, they control the pace. At 40, demand drops fast while competition increases. Younger women are still active. Older men still have choices. The leverage flips. Men experience the opposite path. At 25, most men are replaceable, not established, still building, competing with older, more successful men. At 40, if a man put in the work, built stability, income, discipline, his value rises, his dating pool expands. Women from 25 to 45 suddenly become options. That's the correction. And this is the moment that confuses a lot of average men. They start getting messages they never got before. Women initiating conversations, compliments, flexibility that never existed in the past. And men think, finally, I made it. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You didn't rise. Their options collapsed. I saw this happen with a woman I'll call Laura. She was 33 when I met her. Smart, driven, attractive, still waiting for the same type of men she casually dated in her 20s. By 39, the tone changed completely. Conversations shifted from chemistry to logistics, timelines. What are you looking for? Became the first question, not the fifth. The urgency wasn't romantic, it was procedural, and that matters. Because when desire is replaced by deadlines, relationships start on shaky ground. This is where things stop being abstract and start getting personal. Because once the market corrects, choices have to be made. And the emotional cost of those choices is something people rarely talk about, especially with men. Let me tell you about a man I know. We'll call him Julian. He's 44, works in IT, makes around $90,000 a year. Nothing flashy, normal build, receding hairline, calm personality. In his 20s, he was invisible. Dating apps were silent, he might get one reply out of 20 messages, dates were rare, relationships even rarer. Then something strange happened in his early 40s. Women started messaging him. Not just anyone, educated women, professionals, women who would have ignored him completely 15 years earlier. Julian was confused. He asked me, "Did I change? Am I more attractive now?" I told him the truth. No, by traditional standards, you're less attractive. But the women messaging you, their options dried up. That's the part men struggle to accept at first, because attention feels good, especially after years of none. But what matters is why it's happening. Here are the patterns to watch. First, urgency. She moves fast, pushes exclusivity early. Talks about marriage, living together, kids, sometimes within weeks. This isn't passion, it's pressure. She's not reacting to you, she's reacting to time. Second, verbal exceptions. She says things like, "I usually date taller men," or "I'm normally into more adventurous guys," or "I've always been with very successful men." Translation, you're not her preference, you're her adjustment. Third, visible disappointment. Your apartment is fine, but not what she imagined. Your car is practical, not impressive. Your vacations are modest. You can feel her expectations lowering in real time, while resentment quietly builds. And resentment is the real poison. I knew a woman, we'll call her Nicole, who she filtered men the way a company hires a Fortune 500 executive. Height minimum, income minimum, education minimum. She literally kept a spreadsheet. At 29, she wouldn't even notice an average man. By 38, those so-called non-negotiables quietly became negotiable. She ended up with a good man, stable, kind, reliable. But here's what I noticed. Whenever we were around them together, something showed. Every chain restaurant dinner instead of fine dining triggered it. Every practical purchase instead of a luxury one. Every comparison to friends who married earlier. She never said it directly, but it was always there. She resented the life she had because it wasn't the life she imagined. And here's the hard truth. When people settle, they resent it. Even when the decision makes sense. Even when the partner is a good person. That resentment doesn't disappear. It leaks out as criticism, comparison, and a low-level dissatisfaction that never fully goes away. Now add divorce to the situation and it gets heavier. If she's divorced, her ex is never fully gone. There are financial ties, kids, shared history. You're not being judged on your own terms. You're being compared to a memory that's been edited over time. The bad parts fade, the good parts get romanticized. If there are children, understand this clearly. You will never come first. That's not an insult, it's reality. Her time, stress, money, and emotional energy are all influenced by an ex who still has access through those kids. You inherit the aftermath of a war you didn't fight. And here's the psychological trap she's stuck in. Deep down, she knows she waited too long. She knows she filtered too aggressively. She knows she gambled on unlimited access to top-tier men and lost, but admitting that would destroy her self-image. So, the regret gets redirected, and you become the symbol of compromise. Now let's zoom out. If you followed this far, you're probably feeling two things at the same time: relief and tension. Relief because things finally make sense. Tension because now you realize you actually have choices and responsibility. Let's ground this in reality, not feelings, numbers. If you're a man in your 40s, your dating pool is wider than it ever was at 25. You can realistically date women from their mid-20s to their mid-40s. That's roughly a 20-year range. If you're financially stable, emotionally grounded, and reasonably healthy, you are viable across that entire span. That's a kind of leverage most men never had when they were younger. Now look at the other side. A woman at 40 is dating inside a narrow lane. Most desirable men her age are married, dating younger women, or extremely cautious after divorce. Men in their 30s often aim younger. Men in their 50s may bring health issues, energy gaps, retirement concerns, or heavy emotional baggage. Her realistic pool is maybe 5 to 10% of what it was at 25. That isn't cruelty, that's math. And then there's fertility, the topic people avoid but can't ignore. At 25, a woman has roughly a 1 in 4 chance of pregnancy per cycle. At 40, it's closer to 1 in 20. By 45, it drops below 1%. Risks increase. Miscarriage rates rise. Fertility treatments become expensive, invasive, and often unsuccessful. Men don't face the same cliff. A man can father healthy children well into his 40s and 50s. This imbalance changes everything. It creates urgency on one side and choice on the other. So when a woman over 40 suddenly shows interest in you, understand this clearly. You are not her fantasy, you are her reality. There is a difference. That doesn't mean she can't grow to care about you. People do grow to love what they choose. But starting from reality instead of illusion changes the entire dynamic. She may grow to care for you over time, even if she chose you at first for practical reasons. But don't lie to yourself about what you represent in her life story. Urgency is not flattery. Fast timelines are not romance. Pressure is not desire. And this is the mistake many men make at this stage. They confuse attention with validation. After years of being ignored, that attention feels powerful. It feels rewarding. But settling works both ways. Just because someone is willing to choose you now doesn't mean you're required to choose them back. You actually have 3 real options. Option 1, date women your own age. This can work, but only if you go in with clear eyes. Understand the baggage, the timelines, the comparisons, and the risk of quiet resentment. Some women are emotionally aware and healthy. Many are not. Discernment matters. Option 2. Date younger women. If you're established, disciplined, and grounded, women in their late 20s or early 30s may find you very attractive. You bring stability, direction, and perspective. They bring youth, optimism, and fewer emotional scars. The dynamic is often simpler, slower, and more natural. You're not racing against a clock. Option 3. Stay single, protect your peace. Invest in your health, friendships, purpose, and personal growth. You don't owe anyone a relationship just because interest finally appeared. The common thread in all three options is choice, conscious choice. Dating markets are not moral systems. They are economic systems shaped by supply, demand, and value. Youth and fertility have value. Stability, resources, and status have value. These preferences are not social inventions. They are evolutionary, deep, and ancient. Modern language doesn't change them. What does change is who holds leverage at different stages of life. Women often have more leverage early. Men who build themselves tend to gain leverage later. It isn't fair. It isn't equal. It simply exists. So if you're a man in your 40s and women are suddenly noticing you, don't romanticize it. Understand it. Use it wisely. Look for genuine desire, not deadline-driven decisions. Look for respect, not quiet resentment. You deserve to be chosen because someone truly wants you, not because their other options disappeared. The market shifted, and now you finally have leverage.